What's up, world? Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Point Blank podcast. Point Blank explores news and updates in health, business, relationships, and more. The podcast also features guests that are transforming industries, challenging norms, serving as catalysts for momentum, and offering some fresh perspectives. I'm your host, Steve Blank Jr., and since 2016, I've leveraged the modern media landscape to help businesses and brands create more content and make more money. Need a new website? Ready to launch a podcast of your very own? Visit steveblankjr.com today to learn more about why some of my clients are calling me a complete game changer, verbatim. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and share on all of your favorite social and streaming platforms. Let's jump right in to the latest edition of the Point Blank podcast. I think we connected on what we're using, it's a directory, right? You're using a directory to kind of book some of the stuff.
I use several, so I don't know which one because they all seem the same.
Yeah, no doubt. I was trying to think because like every time I talk to somebody, I learn about a new one. There's Matchmaker FM seems to be pretty good.
Podcast Movement, I do believe, something like that.
Podcast Movement, see, never heard of it. Just learned a new one already.
There's it's not Podcast Movement. It's what is it called? It's an old school media term, so it's not really podcast. It's I got so many things in my head, right? It'll come to me. But our stuff is similar because I started out doing this because everybody was wanting to interview me, right? And, you know, once I started speaking to, I joined this organization because when I want to learn something, I join organizations. And I joined Public Relations Society of America. And just some of the resources were podcasts, right? You know, hooking up with podcast media companies to kind of get you out there and do a lot of interviews. So once it started to be a podcast thing, which is still the same thing, right? It really wasn't. It's always been called a podcast, but it really wasn't like a podcast yet back in 2016, 2017, right?
Sure.
It was a gradual transformation. And for me, it worked out perfect because I do voiceover. So it was a chance for me to, you know, unintended consequences, what I call collateral sprinkles. My diction got better. My articulation got better. My ability to read people got better because I'm a DJ. So that's my job, to read people too, to make sure the dance floor is packed. All those good things that make a DJ a good DJ. And, you know, fast forward, this has turned into a public speaking career. This has turned into so many other different things that's why I do them. And I don't discriminate. I do them from the smallest to the biggest. It don't matter because for me, you know, it's the ability to storytell and just help people. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, when I tell people, first thing I'm gonna tell you, this is not about me, it's about you. So ask me what you want. And I guarantee you it's not going to be what you think it is, but you'll be pleasantly surprised at what we talk about because it's life, you know what I mean? And I can help people with my experiences and just, it's a pleasure to be on here to run my mouth, man. So we can get started when you're ready.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm happy to bounce around quite a bit and you take things in whatever direction you see fit. I hopefully have a question or two that maybe aren't terribly common and mundane for you at this point, because let's face it, you've been answering questions for quite some time, right? That being said, you probably run into a few interviews that maybe end up feeling like, you know, or I guess a better way to frame that is that from the perspective of somebody who's been interviewed for such a long time, been in this podcast dynamic so many times, and you're like digging your heels into it, what make for the best collaborations?
No, I mean, I don't care. See, for me, that's what is incredible about all this. It tests your skills every single time, right? So I'm pretty much ready for everything, right? And there's nothing that throws me off. So, you know, this is fun for me.
No doubt.
This is fun for me. So, you know, like I said, it's on you. Ask me
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you
No doubt. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is longevity in brand and in personal brand specifically. Like, I knew from the moment I saw your information on one of those pod connection platforms and the promptness with which you replied, the assets that you had ready to go, I was like, my man is working this, like himself actively, um heavily. And so all that to say, like, obviously putting in the work is one of the things that goes into it, but like, what are the things that have empowered you to leverage your personal brand so successfully for such a long time, and let alone open it up into different avenues like public speaking or endorsements?
Well, it's for me, it's just hustle,
Yeah.
right? But you can hustle all day and still get nowhere. And my journey has been very difficult, right? But, it's a journey that has extreme highs and, you know, lulls of just mundaneness, right? And, lots of tragedy. And at the beginning of this, I vowed that I would make my tragedy my triumph through education. So anything traumatic that happens to me, I don't blame anybody. I don't get pissed off. I'll be like, I just vow that it'll never happen again. I'll educate myself, So, our story of tag team was we're just two kids making music and we just happen to have a hit record. And I'm in the clubs in Magic City DJing. I'm a DJ and, I could test my own records, they hit. And my hubris as a young man is like, well, this is always going to work. But it wasn't like that. And I think this is the summer of 92. It's the first time I played Whoomp. There it is, right out of the studio on a cassette tape. At least 15 people came to the DJ booth like, what the hell is that? And for a DJ, that's very poignant because that's what we're in back then. It was like, I love to play the new music first and get the response. And people was like, hey, you got that on tape? And that helped me sell mixtapes. So it was always a hustle. But when I played Whoop There It Is, that was special. And my hubris as a young man, I was just like, it's always going to be popping. And I stopped playing it. But after a while, one of the girls was like, why don't you play it? I was like, I play it again. And that night, it was, Magic City, Atlanta, Georgia, one of the greatest strip clubs ever. We just did a documentary on it, and that's going to be big. That's HBO. That's going to be nice. But played it again, and a record rep from Columbia Records named Alan Cole was in the house. He was like, "What is that?" Because I knew all the record reps, I knew all the stars, I knew every because I'm the hottest club in Atlanta, so I know Dion and Dominique Wilkins and all the Braves and all the Falcons and all the Georgia Techs and just all the stars, movie stars will come there. Everybody came to Atlanta. They came to see me because they knew me. I was a DJ. So he's like, "Give me that." I gave him a cassette. He took it to New York. Now Columbia Records is calling me. I gave it to all the reps. Now all the labels are calling me. But they didn't really know what to do with it because back then it was LA and New York were the hubs of music. So there really was no music scene. And, I almost gave up because they just weren't pulling the trigger. And a young lady that worked at Mercury Records told me to call Al Bell. And those who don't know who Al Bell is, he's in the beginning of soul music, there were three record companies: Philly International, Motown with Berry Gordy, and Stax Records with Al Bell. And fast forward some years, Al Bell had put out a record, Daisy Dukes by Deuce, the year before Whoop There It Is came out. And it went gold. So I was like, okay, let me holler at him because he might know how to work a bass record. Because we're in the land of booty shake. We're in the land of bass. That was why we made Whoop There It Is. Because we had to change the paradigm because we were in a different place. We weren't in Denver, Colorado. I went to school in Sacramento, California. So I'm playing West Coast stuff. Come down south, I hear the bass stuff. And I'm familiar with it because the genesis of that type of music is the old electronic stuff that we started with. Planet Rock, Al Nafish, the Soul, right? Orbit. Let the Beat Go On and Debbie Deb and all those records. Peter kind of were bass Egyptian Lover, Dr. Dre, all those Surgery, all those were up tempo records. We listened to them all the time. So we just kind of stayed in that vein, and that was our first attempt. Boom, there it is. And Al Bell calls me back like 2 weeks. I forgot actually, and he was like, "Mr. Glenn," I was like, "Mr. Bell," I was like, "You just not call me back?" I was like, "Cool, man, good to meet you." I was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna cut through the small talk. I got a hit record. It's been tested. I'm in the hottest club in the city. You got to sign us, dude, or you're gonna miss out on some money." And he's like, "Okay." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. You haven't even heard the record yet, right?" Because I hadn't sent it to him. And he said these words to me, I'll never forget. "Brother, I don't have to hear the record. I hear it in your spirit. Let's agree to agree, get this thing moving, and let's go." I said, "Bet." And gave my 2 weeks in Magic City, signed a messed up record contract. And in a month and a half, tag team was platinum, and the rest is history. And I start there because I've always been a hustler. I've always tried to make myself invaluable at every job I'm at, right? So every job I've ever had, I've been invaluable because I do extra. I'm not just your DJ. I'm your sound guy. I make your flyers. I do your radio spots. I do everything, right? So you got to hire 5 of me just, to do all the stuff that I did for you. So you make yourself invaluable, and you get in the corridor and you learn skills on the fly just by hustling. And I've always been that way. And like I said, we signed a messed up record contract. So, life was good for 3 years. And then it was like, okay, where's the money? And then the record company goes bankrupt. And I'm like, okay, so I could have just been like most artists, turned into an old bitter rapper, and you never heard of me again. Or I could have been like, this will never happen again. And I basically became a paralegal, right? And I went through a 20-year legal battle with that record.
Oh.
And that is what made me, that trauma. And it's just been, it's been a great experience, but it's also been difficult. Same thing with I was like, I vowed nobody will ever beat me out of money again. So I ended up becoming a licensed commodities broker. I just had to learn about finance, right? But I've gotten the stocks, and I got into.
And at what point in the timeline is that, by the way? Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, because the legal battle started in like 97, 98. Because we started in 93, so we had a good run till then. And we got money, right? And we weren't in the worst contract, but we weren't in the best contract either, right? So that started, and I think around 99, that's when I was like, I got to figure out this. Fine, I got to know money, right? And year 2000, I would look at CNBC, and I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. Year 2001, I knew everything they were talking about. I took the Series 3, and I became a licensed commodities broker and worked with about 3 different firms while I'm DJing, because, I'm trying to sue a record company or get my money, but didn't realize that, big bank takes little bank. And I don't have nearly the money that a record company has, and they just bleed you, right? They bleed you out of your resources with different motion after motion after motion. So I had to learn what emotion was. I had to learn what discovery was. I had to learn how to find case law so I can battle later on. I had to get all the information together, all the paperwork together. So when I did hire a lawyer later on, I was prepared. But that also spurred around 2000, that time, that spurred my knowledge for, I'm gonna learn about everything that I can learn about. And, in the clubs, I did radio spots. Well, let me learn how to do voiceover. That was difficult. Well, let me learn video editing. You know what I mean? I've always been good with Photoshop. So I had to go back to the club, but every club I was at, I'm like at 3 different clubs. I'm doing all the marketing too, right? I'm building the websites, right? I'm learning all these things and all the things that, you know, help me be me and help me be invaluable and help me get a real good living, right? All the while, we're still doing shows. We still do, you know, NBA halftime shows. We still do appearances, but, you know, it was like we still get a royalty, and that helped me. That, you know, that was good enough to live on. Got a good, nice living wage. Let's put it that way. And people don't realize, like, that's just on one song, and that goes on to this day, right? So, you know, I had to learn, and it's not that I had to learn. I had to learn how to learn, and that's what started my self-help career. I listened to every book, Robert T. Kiyosaki, Zig Ziglar. Back then, you know, the 90s, that's when all the old schoolers were kind of brand new. And I read all those books and I learned all those things, and they become muscle memory after a while. And just, I'm relentless. I won't give up. I play offense, right? I'm relentless. If I want to learn something, I'll go learn it. And you just fast forward through time, I joined organizations. I learned these tactics. I'm a part of 30 different organizations, because organizations, societies, associations, they're filled with people who have been the leaders in their profession for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Like I am now with the music industry and hip hop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they can't wait to tell you their story. Like I'm telling you my story now. And when I get into these conferences and I talk to these people, I learn the game. And in an organization, unlike the music industry, people aren't trying to take from you. They're trying to give you and help you. It's a safe place, right? So I'm in Public Relations Society of America because I want to be my own publicist. I'm in every concert organization, IEBA, International Entertainment Buyers Association, right? Because I learned, why am I dealing with the booking agents and the promoters when I go straight to the buyer? So now the buyers know who I am because I made those relationships, right? And I'm constantly going to conferences. I'm in a public uh, PRSA. I'm in International Advertising Coalition. I'm in um, NAPTA, which is place where you go pitch TV shows. I'm in that organization. Like I'm in all these organizations, and I just call people and ask them questions if I need to know something. And that's how you gain a foothold on everything. And I was like, let me start voiceover, learn voiceover. Now I'm a voiceover artist. And I was like, voiceover became acting by accident. And then I got hooked on acting. So now I'm an actor with movies and TV shows under my belt, right? So all these things fit into what I call a big ball of focus. And I get opportunities, but I can't stray off to go do this and do that because I'm talented in a lot of things. So it has to fit in the bigger scheme of things. And the beauty of what I've done and what I've worked so hard to do over the years is that every year, Whoomp There It is in a TV show, a movie, or an, you know, an endorsement type situation. But not until the Geico commercial, it was the first time that we had actually been in a commercial as tag team. And that gave us, we've been rolling ever since 2020. You know what I mean? But through the hard work of being an IEBA and looking at the buyers, we went from 5 or 6 shows a year to 40 shows a year, right? And then a commercial hit, then we were gone. So other things had suffered. Acting suffered, voiceover suffered, but I was on a roll where all three were linked in synergy. And then the show money is just, you know, tag team money is just that much better. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's and we put on a good show because first and foremost, I will always be a DJ. So that means I'm gonna read the crowd. I'm gonna know what to do. It's instinct, and that comes over years of development, right? So that's kind of you know, my story. And you know, there's a lot of pieces I'm forgetting because it's that much, right? But for me, all I do is hustle. And hustler was born in me when I was 8 years old because my parents worked me like a dog.
Mm.
And I've always had a job. As a grown man, I have never not known work, right? So now when I mentor people, I mentor in a different way because I'm not going to waste my time. And, people always want, put me on, can I do this? How do I do that? I was like, all right, I'm gonna send you some homework. Hit me back in a month. And nobody ever calls me back. And I'm like, because people, I can give you the knowledge all day, but if you're not willing to put in the work, I'm just giving speeches. I don't do that for free. You got to show me you're willing to work, then I'll help you. I'll help anybody. But if you show me well, don't I need to go to the club and don't I need to do this? I was like, you following everybody else. That's what everybody else has done. If somebody else has done, that way to do it is obsolete now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to make your own way. There's always a way. Like Jeff Goldblum said, it's like life finds a way. I'm like, hustle finds a way. Hustle, think differently. Start with the solution, right? Start with the pie in the sky, the far-fetched, the fantastical. Then you work your way back to practicality, right? Then what you've done is you create a step ladder to your goals and dreams because you have done the steps coming back off of what you see of your vision of the end goal. People don't do that. People start down here and be like, I want to do that. How do I do it without doing no work? And we all know people like that, right? There's the person that takes the real estate course and is like, okay, I'm gonna be rich now. It's like, no, because now you gotta put in work. You gotta
Right.
go through the process, right? And people are not willing to do it. Some people are the people that are successful, they're willing to do it. And even if me being in the music industry for 30 something years, I still have to work like I haven't made it yet. Because that's required. Because now I'm competing in a niche, which is 90s hip hop stars. Right? So, and if I was put my record out 10 years ago, I'd still have to compete in the year 2000s hip hop stars,
Mm-hmm.
right? But having one of the biggest records in history, that helps. So instead of acting like I'm a one-hit wonder and being shameful about it, which people always ask me that, and they expect me to be like, I'm not a one-hit wonder. I'm like, damn right, I'm a one-hit wonder, because to me, it is admirable making a career off of one song in 31 years, and we still doing it.
Even if you absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I also think it's fair to say that even if you weren't to leverage a flourishing career for decades moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
what it takes to achieve one hit is deeply undermined when we frame it up that way. You know what I'm saying? It's like it'd be like belittling somebody for reaching the bottom of the 1% of, financial well-being in America. It's like,
That's how I see
dude,
myself.
that's all you got?
I'm not, all my colleagues, I'm not Usher. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Jay-Z. I'm not all them cats, right? But I'm in my lane of where I can flourish.
Yeah.
And I've accepted that. I'm good. And the key to all of it is you have to take responsibility for your actions. I was the one that signed that messed up record contract, right? And that let me know that I should have known better before. I should have educated myself beforehand. So when I mentor people and I give them information, they don't understand what I'm giving them, and they don't realize the front end is the money, the cars, the fame, the women. I'm giving you the back end first. I'm giving you what happens when all that fades. When all that fades and you're sitting looking crazy because you treat everybody like crap because you thought you were a star, what do you have? Do you have your rights? Do you have your publishing? Are you in good shape? Did you save some money? I can tell you as a young man, no. Because all I thought, I'm going to ball. And we got some money. And it went fast. Because think about what you spend in a year.
Mm-hmm.
right? Let alone 3 or 4 years, right? So that's why I had to learn how to do it. So me being a trader and commodities broker, it wasn't for me because I would have had to quit. And to me, it's intellectual gambling. There's ways to do it, but in the end, if you don't have the discipline, it's intellectual gambling. And I just have never been good at gambling. So I eventually found a way that you automatically take chunks out of your paycheck or chunks out of the money you get,
Mm-hmm.
and you got all these financial instrument buckets, and you just dump them in buckets every month, whether it be a IRA, SEP IRA, Roth IRA, money market account, stocks, uh, mutual funds, whatever. Life insurance part, you just take those little pieces and you'd be surprised. A year turns into five turns into 10. It happens fast, but you feel like you're broke, but you look up and that 10 that you saved turns into 70.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. But you have to be disciplined enough. And so that's why automation is great, because it can just pluck stuff out and you really don't know that is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've kind of gotten good at. And sometimes, sometimes sometimes, and that's good because life, you're going to have emergencies. So sometimes you're going to have to cash out, but at least you got it there to cash out and start over again because you know what to do. And as long as you hustle, I know something else is going to come. I know that I can jump full wholeheartedly into voiceover and I can make something happen. And I know I'm going to go to a conference if I really want to get out there and put on a big Whoomp There It Is t-shirt and go to a conference and just sit in the middle of the conference and people going to see me. And they're not even going to notice. They're going to be like, okay, that's a cool shirt. So what do you do? And I'm like, I do this, that, and that. And we don't had an hour conversation and they don't even know who I am. And I got a Whoomp There It Is t-shirt on. And then I wait. It's almost like double dutching. The jump rope where they to do two things. You got to figure out when you're going to jump in. And I just wait for an opening. And that's when I lay it on them. Well, back in the day in the 90s, I made a record called Whoomp There It Is. So we still do a little touring, and I came from here, there to here. So that's why I'm kind of tired. So please forgive me. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, wait a minute. Whoomp There It Is, the tag team? Like, yeah. Like, no, that's not you. Like, yeah, that's me. I don't believe you. That's not good starting a relationship, DC, with a lie.
And you got to hit them with the opening in
Hey,
person.
hey, I said, you're going to go look it up. But when they do, now that's the cherry on the icing on the cake. That's the cherry on the sundae, right? They've already liked me for my character. They've already given me the game. Now I'm the big fish story.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be the big fish story, right? So when it comes to marketing today, the biggest thing that I did that helps me is that I learned and became masterful at SEO, search engine optimization, the ability to get on the front page of Google, pretty much every aspect of digital marketing, from CRMs to just the whole nine, right? And that was difficult. That's probably the most difficult thing I've ever had. That and acting, the most difficult things I've ever had to learn how to do. And now I'm masterful at it. Took me 10 years, but I can rank a web page. And I just vowed that, from way back in the day, I refused to let life pass me by, because I did that as a young DJ when vinyl switched over to CD. I was like, I'll never DJ with no damn CDJs. You got me messed up. I'm always going to be vinyl. But these young cats was coming up and they started surpassing me. I was like, whoa, I could lose jobs doing this. So I had to scramble and get good. I had to adjust. Okay. And I vowed that will never happen again. So any new technology comes out, I'm on it right at the beginning. So I could take advantage of it in the beginning, because then once it gets saturated, that's when it goes down, right? Or that's when it becomes normal. So, hey, when social media started, I was the first doing it. I wasn't doing it right. They were trying to make me do a podcast back when YouTube first started. even before, right? They were like, man, you should do it working in the strip club. You a DJ at a strip club. Think about you could do, interviews with the strippers and you could have a pot. Man, if I'd have been thinking back then, I could
Oh,
have just
bro,
did
you'd be drinks champs right now.
basically, right? And I mean, that's what happened to Joe. Joe was like, this is what I enjoy doing. I get to go do comedy. I get to go, I make a good living, right? But this is fun for me, right? So that's what he did.
Yep.
And
Does a great job doing it too, by the way.
he never thought he was gonna be where he's at,
Yeah.
right? And it happened. So it's like, okay, I'm not gonna let that happen, right? And there aren't. I tell people this: there are no missed opportunities. There are no mistakes. As long as you're breathing, you can go back and correct that shit. You see what I'm saying? So me, I'll never forget it. 1994, we made a record. Disney hired us to make a record called Whoomp, There It Went with Mickey Mouse. So I'm in the bowels of Disney teaching the voices of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse how to rap. And they're telling me about voiceover, and they're schooling me about voiceover. And I'm teaching them how to rap. Little did I know that's kind of where my voiceover career started.
Wow.
But my hubris was, well, shoot, I'm tag team. I'm immersed in Whoomp, There It Is. I'm gonna live forever. I don't need to do voiceover. And 5 years later, I knew I missed the opportunity. I beat myself up for years. 1995, newly formed New Line Cinema. One of our managers was a colleague, went to school with the CEO. And young cat, he was like, yeah, we're working on this movie. I was like, yeah, I want to act, right? And he was like, yeah, the leads are LL Cool J and Wesley Snipes. We're trying to figure out who's going to be the lead. And he said, I would love to audition. I was like, yeah, talk to my manager. I wasn't thinking about it. And that movie was Blade.
Oh, wow.
I beat myself up for years because I was there, right? But I became a voice artist and I became an actor. It's never too late, right? And I was doing real good till the pandemic. Well, the pandemic's when I was flourishing, right? But then after the pandemic was the strike. But then we're on the road touring with like 4 different tours because we're clean. You can drop us anywhere. And we don't have egos. We don't mind being the opening act. We embrace it. We don't mind going second or third. Headliner, we happy to be here. See, people don't think like that.
That
So
slaps no matter where you put it in a lineup too. At this point in life, like you could put that in the beginning, you could put it in the end, you could put it in the basement. It's gonna move the room.
because there's a story. If we like the night before last, we opened. We're the first group, and I love it because you know what? Now I can be the MC. I can get everybody started. We get the party started. We are the tip of the sword, and you got to go after us because all our everything we do is energy.
Yeah.
People gonna be dancing. People don't even realize. We realized that we had to have a show where it doesn't stop. So it's not like us doing a song, then doing another song, and then doing another song that people don't know because we don't have a cat. No, There It Is was too big. But we can do those songs with medleys and like a mixtape of 90s hit records that that people are familiar with. And now it's a mixtape and everybody's rocking and partying and dancing and we crowd interaction. I'm telling jokes because I took comedy classes. Not because I wanted to be a comedian, because I needed segues.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So I'm telling jokes, but I'm not. I'm just having conversations with people. And they're laughing and having a good time. And we're all family. And by the time I get to Whoomp, There It Is, we don't wore them out.
Right.
And Whoomp, There It Is the icing on the cake. And you leave them wanting more. That is it's our responsibility to give the people way more than what they expected. And that's why they bring us back. Because they know that the beginning, I wrote a blog post about it. I dictated about it. At the beginning, there was the Lenawee County Fair. And they really didn't have, they hadn't done it since 2017. And before it started, they had brought these 3 girls out who were the queens of the county fair. And the lady was like, tell them your name. And, you know, this is our second place runner up. This is our first runner up. And this is our queen of the Dayton County Fair. And they were just like, my name is Sally. My name is, and I was, you know, and they walked off stage and everybody just mediocre clapping. And I was like, hell no. Ladies, come back here. And just my bombastic voice coming on woke everybody up. And I was like, look, these are the queens of y'all's Leonard County Fair. Can I get some no? And just boom. And I was like, what's your name? Then tell them who you are. Well, my name is Sally. I was like, no, it ain't. Not talking like that. I said, I need you to act like you WWE. And she was like, my name is Sally. And everybody went crazy, right? So we did that. And I'm like, okay, everybody get ready for a tag team. And then I just walked off the stage with the girls and then walked around the back of the stage and came back. And it was like I was brand new again, right? Now, you tell me, we could have just started the show and just been playing and just been singing songs. But it's a difference. I'm not going to let y'all, I'm relentless. And I don't know I'm going to do that till I do it. It's the instinct. It's like, I got to get them, I got to prime them, right? So we have a series of things that we do to get people motivated. And I can say 95% of the time it's easy. But that was a show where we had to earn it. We had to work. And I love those shows because I go even harder because the crowd appreciates the fact that we even went that hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they could have just came in and sang songs and left, but they gave so much.
Right.
And now people, you know, it's a process from sound check all the way on. Like, we only need 3 mics and 2 microphones. Like, really? You don't need no deep? Nope. We'd run it through an iPad, just an 1/8" plug. It's like, let me tell you something, sir. Our motto is we want to be one less thing you have to worry about. Right there, I kill all the diva, all the green M&M stuff.
Yeah.
I kill, we need our own trailer. We need this. I'd never ask for anything. All we ask is that we be first for sound check because all we need is 5 minutes. So I'm always there early. I'm forced to be there early and on time because I don't like waiting around for sound check because that's time I could be resting before a show. Right? So they love us because before we even come to town, I'm letting them know what you need. You need to do radio. You need to do this. I'm being one less thing they have to worry about. And here's the part, this is the marketing play though. After every show, I send them an email. And I said, thank you for a wonderful experience. If it's not too much to ask, and I do this after podcast, could you please give me a Google review? And Google review goes a long way. Google review goes into ads. Google review goes into print ads.
Mm-hmm.
Tag team was so easy to work with. I cannot believe that. Boom, 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 boom. You know, such and such Leonard County Fair, such and such cruise ship, such and such the parade, right? People see that. And now, oh my gosh, hey, let me try them. And what do? I plant seeds, right? I plant seeds and I don't sit there and dwell on them. I plant them and I let them happen naturally. And I tell you, I do things and people come back 2 years later and like, I seen you guys at this show. We did a show a couple weeks in Sacramento. A guy was there. He was like, I want you guys from my casino down in the heart for this private party down in Orlando, because he saw what we do. He saw the energy. He was like, that works for me. That helps my show. And you could drop us in country. You could drop us in any genre of music because everybody knows that song.
Yeah, it transcends genre at this point. It's culture. You know, like it's become synonymous with the culture of the time and not necessarily whatever else shared space on the Billboard charts that year, you know?
And because of the Geico commercial, which is the biggest Geico in the history of Geico commercials, and this is Geico telling me that, now everybody knows because everybody was stuck at home because it was the pandemic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And that's all they play over and over and over again. And I tell you, I got every single TikTok. That's when TikTok was new. Every single TikTok, every single Instagram post, I downloaded all. I have a library of some of the greatest TikTok videos about that commercial. And now I get to go and repurpose all that, because you said repurpose. And that's where AI comes in. So now I can make faceless videos. Now I can do 100 videos about tag team with Book Tag Team Today, which I'm setting up. But it's so much AI software that I truly have to go through all that software, right? And see which ones are effective for me without spending a bunch of money on AI software.
Mm-hmm.
Ever evolving every week. Think about it. We're all what? We're like a year and a half in. And just think of this, like I'm masterful with ChatGPT. I'm masterful with building these language models. Then Llama comes and everybody's screaming about Llama now. It's a whole nother language model. It's like I know what to do with all this stuff, but half the time I can't get to it, right? And now I'm in a conundrum where what's most important, right? So
Right. When the world's at your fingertips in terms of tools and technology and information, i.e., all things internet, one of the biggest battles becomes what's priority here and now. And in order to even decide that, you need to have a pretty clear vision on what the target or the end game or the finish line looks like. And that kind of speaks to your earlier mention of the big ball of focus, you know?
it might, I have to keep myself from chasing shiny objects, right? Can't chase them shiny objects, man. So
There's a
now,
lot of those out there. You could go master Dolly 3 and come back and not get a single deposit tomorrow come from it, but you're the
yeah,
man. You know it now, right?
yeah. And so right now, I'm just switching it up. It's like everybody is telling me, don't you do social media? Why don't you do more social? I'm like, because my ass is old. I'm not about to be doing all that social media crap.
No, and
Now,
there's a way to do it, for it to be genuine and have integrity and be value driven, but it's not DC doing dance challenges every other day.
no. And that's the
Or
thing,
like
because
becoming a prankster or chasing one of those.
yeah, that's for young folks. That's cool. But what I do is I do it a different way that I could teach people that have my mindset. Here's how you do it. But from my SEO, mastery, I know that I don't need 100,000 people to like me. I just need 100 people to pay me. So I'm trying to get in front of people who can pay me. Well, that's why you try to rank a web page, because every day those people get up and they type in, how do I? And if I answer that question and optimize that page correctly, Google loves me because I'm helping Google do its job, because Google is a search engine. Everybody talks about these algorithm this and algorithm that. I said, algorithm is another word for instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Google gives you they give you the recipe. So what are you going to be? Denny's cook, or are you going to be a star Michelin chef, right? I choose to be the latter. So I'm going to come up with recipes that when that robot's, because Google's not a person, Google doesn't has feelings. It doesn't, well, I don't think you wrote this article right. No, Google is a robot. You feed the robot information. If that information is made by a 3-star Michelin chef that has never made that before, and they taste it and like, ooh, they become gluttonous. And then when Google gets gluttonous and you give it the information you want, that's when you rank. That's when your YouTube videos start being in the carousels. That's when your TikToks start being in all the carousels for that question, because you've repurposed that blog post or whatever it is that you did for that. And now it's across all the platforms. But what happens is when you type in that question and the results come back, it's going to be a knowledge panel on the right side. It's going to be a YouTube carousel. It's going to be a TikTok carousel. It's going to be an Instagram carousel. It's going to be a LinkedIn carousel if you do it consistently and correctly. Now you dominate that page. You're giving people the answer, but then you're leading them to your product, to your service. And now you've optimized that page, and now on to the next. And you just keep writing fresh content or freshening the content up and keep answering the question better, right? That's SEO. And trust me, all of this is easier said than done.
Sure, sure.
Right?
I'm thinking now, I love that your logic and like your approach to that um almost demonstrates having an OG mindset and
Mm-hmm.
and staying in that place of like to some degree in here, it's still 1992 and it's just a different set of tools and utilities that are available to us. So not necessarily 92 with regard to the record or anything else. It's just
It
like
is.
the hustle is the same.
It
But
is. I'm telling you, you know why? I got a good one for you.
what's that?
So I, instead of me trying to convince everybody of something, I do it old school. Remember back in the day, if you wanted to have a record deal, you sent in a demo tape.
Mm-hmm.
And people would see those demo tapes, right? Every now and then, when it wasn't real big and it wasn't getting thousands of them, you might get your demo tape listened to. Well, I try to do that with presentations, pitches, right? If I put together logistics maps for halftime for any type of show we got, that's one of the things I'm working on. So what's worked for me is when an NFL team calls on a halftime show, we have a meeting. I give them a logistics layout of how to hire us, right? And how to have the best effective tag team halftime show because of our experiences. So first thing we do, we give the cheerleaders the track so they can come up with a routine. So now we got we got a show now, right? If you want to bring the drum majors in, we can do that. If you want to bring you want the NBA halftime, you want to bring in the acrobatics, we can do that. You want to bring in the mascot, boom, here's the track for them to figure out something. Now, the key to this working is that we have to start as soon as the referees leave the field, because then you're performing for an empty stadium or empty arena. I lay all this out in an 8-page PowerPoint, but not only do I lay it out like that, I can lay it out on how to hire us, right? Then I can send that, I get something printed up, go back old school, send out demo tapes to all the people. And now, if I send them to 3 different people, that little pamphlet is like that physical piece of paper that got concert pictures. That's why I have a photographer at every show we're at, because I've got those Rolling Stone epic concert pictures. It looks real because it is real. So if we're performing at an arena that has 20,000 screaming fans, I've got that captured. Now they know we're for real.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that in a pamphlet and it's just laying around the office. Those are seeds that are planted. And somebody might say, walk by and see that and be like, tag team, oh man. And I'm just planting seeds. I don't expect anything from it, right? Because you have to take the emotion out of it. You'll be a basket case if you're just trying to. That's like with acting. You do an audition and you praying that you get the role. I know I'm not gonna get the audition before I even do it. So now I'm free just to do it and have fun doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not gonna get the job anyway, so I'm not even worried about it.
Just planting
And
seeds and learning lessons.
it's mindset, right? And that's what I do. So that's why that old school is in me. But I tell people, when I see people turn into old bitter rappers or be mad, I hate the young folks what they've done to hip hop, boom, boom, boom. It's like they don't owe you nothing. This is daytime. They ain't thinking about your old ass. You looking crazy, right? You looking crazy being old and bitter, and that's not what this is. I said, you don't realize you have something over them that they'll never have. I can do anything they can do, and it's better, a whole bunch better. I could be young if I want to, but I know where my magic is.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's one thing to have access to all of the tools and technologies and utilities, but the perspective that comes from the type of hustle that's established pre-internet is not something that can be taught. And the more with every day that goes by, it gets even harder to articulate. It's just something that you either had and hung on to and brought forward with you, or was just never a part of your DNA.
One word: experience. We've got experience.
That's it, man.
Bro, you have to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, is Tommy at home? Hey, man, can I come over? All right, I'll be over there in a minute." Boom. That was it, right? You had to talk on the phone. You had to articulate your words. But I was hustling back then because my friends used. I've as a grown man, I have never not known work. So when I needed a job, I would get in the yellow pages, and I start at the top. Hey, how you doing? Are you guys taking applications? Okay, thank you. Hey, how you doing? Can I come fill out an application? You don't have any opening? Okay, cool. Hey, how you doing? You know, taking applications? You got any job opening? Yeah, this girl just quit. If you get up here now, you got a job. I realized that instead of me driving around trying to find some place to work, get in the phone book, call it. That's what I tell people to do now. Get on the phone and talk to people.
Yeah, just start walking in, shaking hands, leave a business card, print a flyer, do something. Yeah.
And you make a restaurant owner wherever you want to work at, think about, do I really need somebody? Because they slacking. Yeah, come in and fill out an application. I don't have nothing for you now, but I might.
Yeah.
Right. And it works because you can knock out 20 phone numbers and you're going to get a job because somebody always quits. Somebody always gets fired. There are restaurants or there are businesses that flourish that need people, right? Think about after the pandemic, how much they needed people to work.
Sure.
You can change your own price if you was willing to work. But when you take off for a year, it's hard to go back to work.
Absolutely.
It's hard. Because that's a life we all want to live where we don't got to do nothing.
Which speaks to, yeah, just that your earlier point of that's as attractive as that may be, that's not the fast path to breaking through or raising the ceiling. But DC, I got to dip, man. I appreciate you making the time and I'm still accommodating this call when stuff's coming up in the middle of your day. I can't tell you how much I'd like to pick your brain more because you absolutely honored your first statement by saying you would surprise me. I thought one of the last things I suspected I would discuss with you today in great depth would be searchability. So that being said, there's a world of stuff I think we share in common that we could explore, but also dynamically different life experiences that may help support one another in our endeavors. So I appreciate you coming to kick it now, and maybe we can circle back.
I want to thank you for letting me come on here and run my mouth because I've done got 3 or 4 new hustles and I learn more from talking. That's one of the byproducts of me doing podcasts. So I appreciate you. Thank you. And if you need me, I'm here. You have a good day.
Man. Hey, send me that Google review link. I'm all over it.
I got you. All right.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. I'll follow up. Talk soon, man. Thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it.